Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another knife review for you. Today we have the Real Steel Terra. This is a new knife, new collaboration between Real Steel and Poltergeist Knife Works. It is so new that if you look around the internet, you're not going to find it many places. You can buy it on the Real Steel website, but keep in mind, you're going to pay a bit of a premium on that. This is listed at $68 on that site right now, but that's MSRP. I saw one other place online that had them. I don't think they had them in stock, but had this carbon fiber version at about $60, and then for about $55, they had the G10 versions. The G10 comes in the black, the OD green, and the ubiquitous coyote brown that's everywhere now. I don't know when coyote brown became a color that all of a sudden that's what everything's called, coyote brown. It's like kale. That just came out of nowhere. I think kale was invented in a lab about 5 years ago. That's kind of my theory because I never heard of it till then. Anywho, this is not about kale. Let's talk more about this knife. I like a lot of the Poltergeist collaborations between Real Steel. They do a lot of them. This is my favorite by a wide margin, and we'll get to why. I liked all the other ones. I'm not bagging on the other ones. I just really like a lot of things about this knife. A couple little things that I don't like as much, but I like a whole lot about it. It's a really good knife. And for the value, even if you do opt for the carbon fiber, $60, not that bad. $55 for the G10, which, spoiler alert, that's the one I'd go to. You get 14C28 in steel, liner lock, excellent construction quality. It's really well put together. This really nice wire pocket clip. I really do like this. It works excellently, and I just love the way they integrated it. Hope they do that with more of their models because it just seems like such a no-brainer idea once you see it. It works really, really well. Yeah, really well put together knife, and I think it looks great. I really do like the look of it a whole lot. Not such a big fan of the carbon. Like I said, I guess it's as good a place as any to say that. I'd get the G10. This doesn't look like super cheap carbon, but I don't like the glossy carbon. I will say in the pictures that I saw, I thought this looked like more of a matte, even maybe contoured carbon handle. And obviously this is brand new. I hadn't gotten to see one in person, so I prefer the carbon because it's only $5 difference, so why not? But if I had to do it again, I'd get the G10. I think the G10 is probably going to look a bit nicer. And you get more color choices if that matters to you. But overall, really nicely, well-designed, and well-put-together knife. Was super easy to take apart. You use this flathead, and then you have Allen key on this side. I will say this one came apart without even using the Allen key. I just turned the flatheads, and it came right apart. I did put some Loctite on the pivot when I put it back together, so if I take it apart again, I'm going to have to put the Allen key on the other side, but being a bike mechanic, I have a plethora of those around, so that is not an issue. Let's talk some stats and some size comparisons. You have a blade length of just over 3 inches, or 3.5 inches, sorry, just over 3.5 inches, 3.54, something like that. I wish it was 3.5, but just for legality's sake, for people that matters to. You have an overall length of 8.4 inches, blade thickness 0.14 inches, but we'll talk more about that later because that's only back here where it doesn't matter. You have a handle thickness of 1/2 inch and a weight of 4.64 ounces according to my scale. They claim 4.73 on their site, but I got it a little bit lighter than that. Let's do some size comparisons. I am going to do quite a few here because this is a knife that none of you guys have seen yet, so when that is the case, I usually try to do more. We have your Spyderco Paramilitary 2 and Para 3. You can see it is larger than both. This is usually the part where I say it's somewhere in between, but it isn't. It's a little bit bigger than the PM2. Another 14C28 in blade knife in a similar size and price range. Your Kershaw bare knuckle. And we will do our Benchmade 940. Yeah, it's quite a bit bigger than the 940. And lastly, one I bet it's going to be pretty similar in size too. I have not compared these even for my own boring pleasure. The Ontario Rat Model 1. Yeah, very, very similar in overall length to a Rat Model 1. Now, these last two are ones that this just kind of reminds me of in some ways. The general, very vaguely general shape Kind of reminds me of the steel wheel piercer. No, I'm not saying, no, he said it's a copy. No, it's not a copy. They both came out exactly the same time. Just kind of general, not even the shape, just the general overall personality. It's probably just the placement of those holes. Once you get them side by side, blade shape's actually quite a bit different. Handle shape's quite a bit different. You know, they're probably not that similar in it after all. It's just something in my head that I was thinking. But yeah, D2 steel on this. But again, also a fairly similar pricing. And just because another knife with faux carbon on it that, well, it's not faux, it's real carbon. It's just a very tiny amount that I just reviewed, this Vivista Terra. A little bit bigger than that. Actually, a good chunk bigger than that. Okay, now let's get into more about this knife. We've talked about the looks and the quality and all that stuff. Let's talk about the most important part and my favorite part of this knife, this blade. Real Steel's 14C28N has always been good to go for me. It's one of my favorite budget steels when almost anybody uses it, but Real Steel does a really good job with it. Easy to sharpen, will take a razor sharp edge, as I will demonstrate in a moment. And this particular one, you have this really high flat grind. As I said, they say 0.14, but that's back here where it's not useful. In your useful ranges, you're getting like 0.12 and downwards. So pretty thin blade stock, full flat grind, and I measured this right around 16 thousandths behind the edge. Very thin behind the edge. And did they sharpen it well? Yes. Usually when I pull out one of these pieces of paper, I make sure to get a new one so that I'm cutting against a new clean edge. Not worried about that with this. Not worried in the slightest. This thing is a laser beam. I don't know how else to equate it. It is, I think it's a scalpel, a laser beam, a lightsaber, whatever adjective you want to use for that. It's all those. And 14C28N is going to hold it for a very reasonable amount of time. And when it does come time to sharpen it, it's super easy. 14C28N is a dream to sharpen. We'll take a screaming edge again. Yeah, this blade is awesome. The tip's a little dainty, but I think completely fine. They even nailed the sharpening choil. The sharpening choil like just misses the plunge there. They did a good job there. This is such a good blade for just a good user knife. If you just want something sharp to, you're hacking through cardboard, opening, I don't know. Yeah, it'll open a box by looking at it, but it does work for that. It's a great slicing blade, absolutely for certain. Ergonomics, also pretty good. This is a spot again where I would say this is pretty slick. I'd get the G10, but it does fit in the hand extremely well. You have just the right amount of jimping up here on top of the blade, just the right amount of thumb ramp to hold you in. The jimping from the liner lock, you kind of catch a little bit, which also helps you lock in a little bit. I cannot comment on the texture of the G10, but Real Steel usually does a really good job with that, so I wouldn't worry about it. No hot spots from the clip whatsoever, and it being this wide, that was my concern, but nope. Don't even know it's there. It is excellent. And again, I have large size hands with pretty skinny fingers, and definitely everything fits on it. Just really, really good. Really excellent. Balance is a little tail happy, but not too bad. I think the ergonomics on it are just really excellent. Again, I wish I had the G10 one because I think I'd probably rave about it even more if I did. You're probably saying, shut up and move on, and you're glad I don't have the G10 one. But yeah, but just really good ergonomics. Great knife to use for those long days of work. How does it carry? Grab ye old Wranglers here. As again, I said, I love this pocket clip. I just think, A, it carries deep, so there's hardly any knife sticking out, just that tiny, tiny little bit. And B, I don't think I'd ever look at that clip in somebody's pocket, even being a knife guy, if I didn't know this existed, and would think, oh, he's carrying a knife. I would think, what does he have in his pocket? What is that? I wouldn't think it was a knife immediately, even being a knife nerd. It's just, it's a very unique looking clip, and I just think it looks really, really cool. Weight, again, 4.64 ounces. It's not the lightest thing in the world, but it isn't crazy. And your hand gets right past it, getting out of the pocket. No flipper tabs, you don't have to worry about that. It is a fairly tall knife, but the clip is angled well. It kind of pushes it out of the way. As you can see, that's as much as the pocket is taking up. You know, the pocket ends over here. Plenty of room to get your hand around it. Just a pretty darn good carry knife for the size, I have to say. And especially, obviously, with the carbon, it slides in and out of the pocket. Again, I cannot comment on the G10, if that's going to be grippy or getting in and out. I'm sure it will be, but it's a wire clip. It's not gonna be a pocket destroyer, I'm sure, unless that G10 is super aggressive, which that would be a complete departure for real steel. So I highly doubt that. Deployment in action. That is one problem, or not a problem. It's something I'm not as excited about. It is just the thumb hole deployment only. It does all this stuff, you know, thumb flick, you know, spidey flick, all those things. But when I tore this apart, it was full of. It was very clean inside, I will say, but I don't know, this lube they used, it was like this gunky, greasy stuff I've never seen on a real steel before. It took a bit to clean it out, but once I clean it out, the action's better, but it's very smooth, absolutely, very, very smooth. But this is not ever going to be even a shake shut knife. It's just not. It's gonna be one you close with, you know, 2 fingers. It always is going to be. It runs on these combo bearing or combo washers. I'll get there eventually. It's got a like black Teflon and then these phosphor bronze that run against the blade with the holes in them, kind of Chris Reevy sort of. It does provide for a very smooth action. It feels very good. It feels very nice to use, but it's just not going to be a fidget toy ever. But this is meant to be more of a working kind of knife, so I can say that about a lot of knives like this, you know, and I'm fine with it. It's my one. I do wish it was a bit smoother, even as much as like the steel wheel piercer runs on a similar configuration, and you can like I just want that much. And maybe it'll break into that. This is fairly new. I've only had it for a couple days, so maybe it'll break in to be that good. But right now, yeah, it's just not that awesome. Just not exciting. It's good. It's just not exciting. So what is my conclusion on this? Great user. That blade is awesome. You will never regret having that blade in your pocket. The rest of it is all plenty good enough to support that amazing blade. 14C28N versus D2. What do you want for your worker knife? You know, that's kind of up to you. Those are definitely the 2 most popular steels in this sort of price range, and now with CVV with the 9CR. You just have to pick which one of those you like better. D2's a bit tougher, but a bit harder to sharpen. I like the 14C28N because I think it's a good balance of the two. It's still pretty tough, but super easy to sharpen. And this particular one, wow, very, very sharp. I think it's a pretty great knife. Again, I would not get the carbon. I'd get the G10. But other than that, then you get color choices, all that kind of stuff too. I'd get the G10. But other than that, awesome knife. I hope you guys have enjoyed this review. But don't forget to go check out whitemountainKnives.com. They'll have them pretty soon, I'm sure. And you can use your discount code SDWMK at checkout. Thank you guys so much for watching. I've been Brian. Have a good one.